Hello, Dumoulin, Guyanand, Sunny Bonani. It is 7:31 Central African Time, and this is the official broadcast of Breakaway League Racing. Our top-tier drivers are in Bahrain today. It is the heat and the twisty, demanding circuit out here in Sakir. That is going to be giving us some fantastic racing out here tonight. We have a quorum of about 10 drivers represented here. Hopefully, we'll get to see more as the session and indeed the race rolls along, or just before the race proper. But as ever, we will have a full qualifying session, that being Q1 through to Q3. As things stand, it's pretty much, waiting to go all the way through to Q3. So Q1 and 2 would not be eventful at all as things stand. Loveness is here representing Alfa Romeo. The twin drivers, or rather the duo of McLaren, that being Van Kobe and Liddy, are here, as is the Ferrari pair, Teppo Temba and Seps. Sihle, the championship leader, the gold standard, the two-time defending champion. At the top of your screen, he is also here representing Haas. S. Buddha so holds the hopes of Williams on his shoulders. He's represented here. Romeo, a.k.a. Mandla, and D-Wax, they're here representing AlphaTauri, of course. So let's see how they fare. Kid Kate Molela says, Sihle always has lights. Sihle never seems to struggle with load shedding. He piles on the points, he piles on the performances, he piles on the pressure on the rest of this grid to come up to his level. Sihle has been the gold standard. Nobody has had an answer to the Haas driver this season, with the exception of Josh, aka Damnesia, who's the only other driver to claim a race win since this season has started. So Sihle in the Haas is looking absolutely phenomenal. And, that includes both qualifying performances as well as race performances, too. So, Sihle, an absolutely sensational driver. Look forward to seeing what he will have in store here in Bahrain. We've seen Tier 3, we've seen Tier 2 duke it out here on this track. It's quite rare to get anything other than dry conditions out here in the desert. So, as Sihle in the comments says, he's not quite fond of this track. Well, what will that mean for the rest of the grid? It's quite common to have dry races out here in the desert. It would be quite something for us to see inclement weather conditions. But since Sihle says he's not quite fond of this track, let's see what the likes of Teppo Temba can do. Maybe Shengu could pull up a surprise today. What about Loveness? He's definitely not one to discount at all. Loveness, Van Kobe as well, who's had a topsy-turvy season, but we do know what he's capable of when he can turn it on. Don't count out the likes of S. Buddha, Seps as well, even Zotal in the Alpine. Well, it's a matter of seconds until we get straight onto the paddock and see exactly how this will all pan out. Carabo Stabanda says, will be interesting to see how this new patch will impact the drivers. Well, early reports, Carabo, was saying that, the patch is really affecting the handling characteristics. Sihle, I know, was speaking in the paddock about the car feeling kind of slippery, as Caboza hopes for a little pandemonium in the form of rain in the comment section. Wouldn't that be something out here in the desert? Rainy race out here in Bahrain. Well, would certainly spice things up. He's jealous, says Caboza. We miss you out on track. Caboza, a man whose season came to quite an interesting turn out in Brazil last time out. Caboza finishing second. A very welcome placement for him on the podium last time out. His teammate did not fare so well out of Brazil, a DNF for S. Buddha there. But, let's hope S. Buddha can hold his own and score some decent points for Williams out here. It's a clear night out here in Bahrain. Let's see how they get on along. Sihle, by all accounts, is not feeling overly comfortable out on track. According to him, this is not his favorite venue. And, Shengu, he's also one with a reduced grid who has a golden opportunity to rack up some decent points here. Shengu, of course, his teammate being Malusi the Malusi. Shengu's season best performance thus far is that 8th place back in Jeddah some races ago. So definitely some work to do for M. Shengu. And let's see whether or not that can translate to some good performances. It's a pity, as Escalo asks, where's Lungs? We do not see the Red Bull pair of Lungs and Brown Boy, aka Ensika. So, yeah, that is quite heartbreaking that we do not get to see them strut their stuff and do their thing and challenge the likes of Seaflay out in front. So, yeah, he's Lungs and Brown Boy definitely would have made for some interesting viewing out here. As always, it looks like Sequay is going to be one of the first out on track, but we're going to watch this man, Loveness, the silent assassin, if you will. He's not a man of too many words. He does his talking out on track, does the Alfa Romeo driver. And let's see what he has to say out here on track today. Loveness for AlphaTauri in that oh-so-stunning livery. It's an opportunity for the relegation zone to get some points. Absolutely, Kid K. So that would be the likes of M. Shangu in particular, and Bankobi, who's been really wanting to claw his way out of the playoff spots. Bankobi finding himself moored in the bottom 10 of this league for most of the season. So it's a golden opportunity. All they need to do is just keep it together, and with there being so few cars out here, all they need to do is just set that banker lap and bring that car home, and that'll be pretty much a job done for them. We're watching, of course, Loveness, whose best season thus far has been a 7th place back in Singapore. Well, he's got a golden opportunity here to go 7th or even better as he crosses the line to begin his hot lap. Loveness and Seaflay are currently the drivers on their hot laps. Into turn 1 comes Loveness. Almost touches the apex there. He went slightly wide of it, but turn 2, no issue for Loveness. He opens up that DRS and sends it Alfa Romeo screaming down towards this braking zone. The right-hander out here, so much potential understeer coming through that corner, but not the case. For Loveness manages to keep it together, finishes sector 1 with a 29.0. It doesn't look purple, so we can presume that Seaflay has gone quickest through sector 1, as Seaflay is the only driver ahead of Loveness to be on a hot lap. Seaflay's time will be the gauntlet unless Seaflay abandons his lap. Let's see how Loveness will end sector 2. He straightens that car down the second DRS straight and hurdles down towards the left-hander. There's a car making away from Loveness, no issue there. And he will be on the verge of completing sector 2 now. Let's see whether or not there's indications of purple. No, it's a 108.9 at the end of sector 2 for Loveness. So it looks like Seaflay, who's running ahead, is still on track to be the quickest man thus far out of these two. Seaflay will cross the line soon. It's a 129.112. Loveness is some way away. He's going to be in the 31s, 131.301 for the Alfa Romeo driver. Now, M. Shangu in the Mercedes is on the brink of crossing the line. What can he do here? As he's looking to represent, it's a 132.2 for the Mercedes driver. And is that Mandela on the verge of crossing the line? No, it's D-Wax. What can he do on the verge? He's about to begin his hot lap in earnest. So let's catch up instead with the Ferrari. It looks like Teppo Temba might be on the verge of completing. No, he's still further back. to Piso instead will cross the line tucked behind Mshengu, 132.7. Zoltau crosses the line significantly slower, 139 for him. So we can expect Zoltau to definitely give it another go as Mfundo has joined the lobby. And we'll see how Mfundo fares. Let's catch up with Buddha. He will pip Zoltau with that 132.9 as Teppo Temba crosses the line with a 130.448. Tucks right behind the Haas and sets a time in the P2 as things stand. Well, absolutely interesting stuff. Looks like, there's a Ferrari, which is going absolutely the wrong way. And Zoltau manages to come through there unscathed, hopping forward into Alpine driver. This time he looks to set a proper representative lap here. There's still, few enough drivers that all these guys need not worry about the times in Q1. They just need to make it through to Q2. Seaplane makes his way back to the pits. In the meantime, as the Zotal comes through the DRS straight, and what'll it be at the end of Sector 2? That's the question. We saw Loveness cross the end of Sector 2. I believe it was a 109 for Loveness. As Zotal goes 4/10 quicker. It looks purple. It's a 108. A time in the 108 at the end of Sector 2 for the Alpine driver. And here he comes now towards the final corner where he will point that car down the main straight. No issue there for Zotal. He points it straight down and opens up that rear wing as he crosses the DRS line, and indeed will go P3, 130.715. Significant improvement, huge improvement for Zotal. He'll be happy with that. Perhaps he's even got more in the tank. Let's see what he can do. Buda is giving it another go. Buda is going to cross the line this time, improved by 6/10, but it's only good enough to tuck behind M. Shangu. 132.745. Buda, how much more do you have in the bag as far as pace is concerned? What about Liddy? Well, he definitely seems to have abandoned his first attempt. He's got enough fuel in the tank to give it another go. Cross the line 2 minutes 19, but we will stay in on board. But it looks like Liddy is not really sending it here. Yeah, he's moving really, really slowly as the McLaren driver. Trying to find his bearings. I'm not sure if he's just happy with that time of the 2 minutes as his banker lap. Well, time will tell. We'll see how he fares. D-Wax has already set a time, and, well, as things stand, he's definitely moving slower, making his way back to the pits. The Alfa Romeo driver sitting snug in P4, 131.231 for Ingo Wacko, aka D-Wax thus far. Not bad. Teps, was he the Ferrari that we saw spinning, twisting and turning and spinning earlier on? He's definitely, yeah, making his way back to the pit seemingly, having had that banker lap. And we're going to now look out for Mfundo and Ban Kobe for their proper banker laps here. Let's catch up with you in the comment section as Liddy makes his way back home, bringing that high orange McLaren back home. Caboza says we'll only see him out on track next week. Well, that'll be good to see. It's always good to see all these top-tier drivers juking it out on track. And as Carlo says, I hope Shengu steps up today. I know the man. I know the man deserves to be in Tier 1. I think that's what he said. Yep. We've seen Shengu's pace in seasons past, but since he stepped up to P1, there were glimpses and hints of the kind of pace that Shengu has, but some mistakes and some other moments have really hampered his season thus far. It looks like Brown Boy's in the house, representing Red Bull, so let's see what he can do. And Caboza says he blames Melu for Malusi the Malusi for M. Shengu's drop in form. Only Malusi the Malusi is getting the good car, reckons Caboza. It's a conspiracy against M. Shengu, according to the comment section. Toto must be investigated, says Kid K. And Miss Bono, it's good to see you in the comment section. Seaclay says, I'm not deceiving anybody. Perhaps Seaclay's speaking to his lack of relative comfort on this particular track. So we'll see whether or not that is indeed the case. And yeah, looks like Buda, having set that 132.3, is making his way steadily back to, might be making his way back to the pits here. We'll get a sense of that as Buda takes it for a spin coming out of that left-hander. It's oh so treacherous. Look out for that particular corner as we head towards the race proper. So many drivers get caught out at that exact spot, and Buda demonstrating how you can't be too eager on the throttle at that particular corner. There we go, says Seaclay. That's the new patch, which has changed the handling characteristics of these cars. Oh, once again, Buda spins. Those tires are screaming. As he spins, the tire temperature goes through the roof, and all semblance of grip is just lost. Seaclay says it's so slippery, getting a good setup for this track is hell. Ever since the new patch, which is definitely not a favorite of most of these drivers. D-Wax in Sector 2 is bringing the AlphaTauri back home, while the likes of Mfundo and Ban Kobe are almost at the tail end of their outlaps. So we'll see exactly how they fare here. All right, Capoza says, how are the cars feeling on this patch? I haven't touched the console since Thursday. Slippery for me, says Seaflate. So yeah, the more the game gets patched up, the trickier the conditions seem to get. Let's hop on board with M. Fundo, who we haven't been able to see too much over the past week. This time, he's looking to make amends and consolidate some decent points. But before we even get to the points, he needs to navigate his way safely through Q1 all the way to the top 10 shootout, hopefully for him, because the grid is growing. The drivers have shown up to the paddock, and Fundo has commandeered the Red Bull belonging to Lungs. He sets a 29.9 at the end of Sector 1, squirming and twitching at the steering wheel as Fundo goes wide of the apex through the right-hander there, and will send it over this mini hill over to this slow left-hander. Opportunity for lockups are very high there, but not the case for Fundo, who points this car down the back DRS straight. Let's see how he can come into the corner, which claimed S. Buddha as a victim, but no such instance for Fundo. Will it be a 108 split at the end of Sector 2? No, it's a 110.7. So Fundo really significantly slower than the top runners as far as that Sector 2 split is concerned. Now it is that rush towards the final corner where we hope to get a good entry and exit to point it cleanly onto the main straight. Here comes Fundo on the main straight. He will cross the DRS detection line, open up that rear wing, and cross the line 134.069. It's P10. A lot of work for Fundo to do. A lot of work indeed. What about Bankobi, who was following fairly closely behind? He crossed the end of Sector 2 with a time in the 108s. So we can expect this to be a pretty decent effort for Bankobi if he can keep it back together. Bankobi here, let's hop on board with the McLaren driver. It is the final corner. No such issues as far as twitching at the final corner for Bankobi. Crosses the line 131.098. His first and second sectors were good, but the third sector seemingly is where he might have lost some time. It's a 131.098 for the McLaren driver. One of two currently out on track. Brown Boy is on the verge of beginning his hot lap. Topping the timesheets in Q1, it's Seaflay from Seppo Tamba, from Zotao, and DWAX P1 to 4. Let's hop on board with a man who could very well challenge them, give him a lot to think about. Into turn 1 comes Brown Boy and Sika. The Sika with purple sectors. Will he drop some here today? Comes through turns 1 and 2 unscathed. Clean apexes there fairly for Brown Boy. Let's see how he fares into the braking zone to the right-hander here. He kisses the apex and goes easy on the throttle through fourth gear on that particular corner. Left, right is clean. 48.8 by the end of Sector 1. Looking clean, looking good, looking fairly tasty as Brown Boy. What can he do? Can he challenge the top runners? One driver in the 129s thus far, but remember, they're keeping their toothpaste perhaps in their pockets for Q3. He comes through, hearing a fair degree of speed there through that slow corner, so that'll definitely stand him in good stead for the rest of this lap here. The left-hander, which was also treacherous, we saw a couple of minutes ago, he manages to keep it together. Does Brown Boy taking advantage of all the track limits is Brown Boy there. It's a 107.6 split at the end of Sector 3. We're potentially watching a time that could knock Seaflay off his perch towards the end of Q1 here. Seaflay sitting snug and comfortably back in the paddock. No reason for him to come out again. Brown Boy is looking fairly decent, and he points that Red Bull down the main straight. Lones is cheering him on from somewhere. He crosses the line 129.789. Seaflay is still the gold standard. Seaflay is still the man to beat by some margin. We're talking a factor of, 6/10? Seaflay is still the man to beat out here. So solid showing from Brown Boy. And, we'll get a sense of whether or not he'll be challenging Seaflay by the time we get to Q2 and 3. Looks like Zotal's back on track. Let's see what he can do now. Yeah, it doesn't look like his time is going to be tracking yet. 6 minutes, that's damn near impossible. Seaflay killed Sector 3, says hello. Absolutely. Is this Zotal's hot lap in earnest? Well, we're going to stay on board with the Alpine driver. Fourth quickest today. Ooh, in turn one, we have a little bit of some tire screech there, but he manages to keep it together. Oh, huge spin! Oh, almost hits the DRS marker and sends that Alpine spinning. Zotal, oh man, we've seen him spin a fair amount of time, especially this season, and now has to gather himself back together. And as those tires are quite likely screaming with overheating, he's just going to mind his traction and nurse that Alpine possibly back home. These tires have done 2 laps, and yeah, he's going to need to bring it back home. Meanwhile, down in the bottom 2, Mfundo looks to have fitted a new set of tires, as has Brown Boy in the pits, so we'll get a sense of whether or not they'll come out, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to. He'll have enough time to come out here, so we'll just watch Zotal bringing that Alpine back home. Huge spin over there for Zotal. So let's see how he will fare. 1 minute of the session to go before we move on to Q2, where things really get interesting. And we'll start to see some drivers getting knocked out, and they're going to look to secure their spots in the fight for pole position. Kushe, says Smirch Django, as does Tindo in the comments. Zotal Kushe. People quite impressed at the sectors that Brown Boy was putting in earlier, and it's the countdown now. The end of this first qualifying session. Kid K says C-Clay must use old tires for the whole quali. Django says Liddy did 2 outlaps and then went to chill in the pits. Liddy taking absolutely no chances out here. He's preserving his tires, that's for sure. He definitely hasn't pushed, has Liddy. So we'll see what he's got at the end of proceedings here. Zotal is in the pits. He's the man who finishes 4th at the end of this first qualifying session, which looks like this. C-Clay tops the timesheet from Brown Boy and Teppo Temba. Brown Boy and C-Clay, the only 2 in the 129. Teppo Temba and Zotal make up P3 and 4. D-Wax for AlphaTauri in P5. From Ban Kobe in 6th spot in Q1. Loveness sneaks into the middle, quite snug and comfy on P7. Romeo P8. M. Shangu 9th. S. Buddha 10th. Tsepiso 11th. And then we have Mfundo and Liddy rounding off the positions in P12 and 13, respectively. Mfundo, a lot of work to do. Only could set a time of the 133s. So he's going to need to dial it up a wick or 2 if he is going to make it into this race. Kike says Bertox is stuck in traffic, but for sure will make it for the race. Yes, I believe he might well be on his way. Might be here in time for Q3, I believe. Tindo, I thought you'd be in commentary, says Cadoza. Well, 15 minutes of this qualifying session to go. We're now in Q2. Let's see what these top-tier drivers can do. Thank you for joining Breakaway League Racing. It's our top-tier drivers out here in Bahrain. It's a beautiful summer's night, clear skies, not an ounce of rain, of course, out here, as is usually the case in the desert. Let's see how they will fare. Right now, looks like C-Clay wasting no time, bringing it out onto the track first and foremost. So we're going to watch the 2-time champion, the defending champion, the championship leader, and see how he fares now on his hot lap attempt. He will be the one to lay down the initial marker. And we'll see how he fares. Hey, Tux, thank you for joining us.
Atutsindo maga commenta eish. Uthola maletha nge-black power. Angazi ukuthi atutsindo ngathi bayamloya manje. Angazi ubani lo uthindo manje. Ukuthi angaphefumi na race. Adeke ngayikho crazy.
Yes, it's not grand indeed. Nobody was the lawyer anybody. I think that's just not a case of fair play out there. Let's refrain from lawyering out here in Breakaway. It's all about talent. It's all about keeping it together out on track. And of course, we're watching a man who is the embodiment of not only keeping it together, but pretty much, well, setting the gold standard out here in the top tier of Breakaway League racing. Sequate weaves to the left and the right. He's struggling for grip, remember. He finds this new patch quite challenging. Yeah, so let's see what he can do now.
Mara usihla ngazi ukuthi sikhipha usihla uyasogola mara still abantu abakhona ukumbamba. Hayi man. Ingona bamcubela ugesi or bamthathele i-generator yakhe.
Lance, let's not advocate for that. Let's see how he comes into turn one, how tight he gets to the apex. It's wide of the apex in turn one. He's going to have some time to make up. Oh, has an almighty spin! Oh, he was not joking. He was not bluffing. He has a huge spin. And, of course, has to abandon that lap and will have to give it another go. Someone who will not need a second invitation to keep right on going is none other than Nsika. Brown Boy. He seems to have come through turns 1 and 2 unscathed, so he will be the man to lay it all down. 28.8 is the split at the end of Sector 1. Let's see how he fares towards the end of Sector 2. We saw, of course, him lighting up the timesheet when he came out and joined, of course, he came out onto track late towards the end of Q1. Has a bit of a moment there, almost goes wide of the apex there, but manages to keep it together. It's Brown Boy down the back straight, the second DRS detection point, rather the third DRS detection point, and does not have too many issues on the same corner where we saw another driver spin earlier on. Brown Boy keeps it together. It's a, what kind of a split would it be at the end of Sector 2? 107.5. Even better than his Q1 effort. So, Brown Boy potentially going to set another time of the 129 if the rest of his lap is incident free. If Sector 3 is hot lap number 1 for Brown Boy. How will he fare? Points that Red Bull down the main straight. He opens up the red ring. It's Brown Boy to cross the line with a 129.636. An effort even better than the one he set back in Q1. So Brown Boy definitely one to watch. There's a Ferrari currently on a hot lap, and that will be none other than Seppo Temba, who seems to be abandoning that effort and bringing that car back home. What about D-Wax? What about D-Wax? He's on the verge, across the line, 130.5. It is P2. Right behind Brown Boy. Seaclay's time is not representative. Looks like Loveness is also on the verge here. Let's see what he can do. He will open up that rear wing and cross the line for P3, 130.645. Tucks right behind D-Wax as things stand. As Buddha being cheered on in the comments by none other than Kaboza with those blue pom-poms. He will cross the line with a 132.094 P4 for the Williams driver. Here comes Tapiso now. He will begin his hot lap in earnest. Meanwhile, M. Shengu is the driver on the verge. He's next to set a time. He's going very, very slowly there. It's nowhere near a representative effort, and he brings that car back home. Zotal, what can you do for Alpine? Representing that pink and blue livery, P4 130.689 for Zotal. The twin pair of McLarens are out on track, and they're tailing each other, or at least they were. It looks like, Ban Kobe might have had an almighty spin. Ban Kobe? Is that Ban Kobe? Yes, he had a huge spin, invalidated as he did that. Here comes Liddy, though, crosses the line. His first proper push sees him P5 with that 131.449. Esbuda and Seaclate tuck right behind him, and Romeo, a.k.a. Mandla, is in the 1 minute 42s, not a representative time. Let's go Alpine, says... Pomispano and Seaclay crosses the line. This is at a 129.481 on the same set of tires that he spun on earlier. Beautiful, sensational stuff from Seaclay, showing them all who was boss. Now remember, his quickest time today has been a 129.1. So, we know what he's capable of. He set a decent time on these 2-lap old soft tires, but let's see how much further he can push. Now, Seps in Sector 3 is definitely not necessarily pushing. He might just be bringing that car back home. So instead, let's see how Romeo, aka Mandla, is faring. That battery's not flashing as he's going to come to the end of Sector 2 now. No, he's definitely not pushing either. So we're going to have to pay close attention to Some other drivers. Will we see a time of the 128? Asks Miss Bono, perhaps in Q3 as Zotal brings that car back home. It looks like the person on the verge of beginning their hot lap is Teppo Temba, but Van Kobe, having spun on his first attempt, is giving it another go. Let's hop on board with the McLaren driver here. Sector 3, how will he fare coming into this braking zone? Right-hander, point that car straight. Van Kobe gonna get it right? Yes, he does. He opens up that rear wing, and Van Kobe will cross the line with a 31.045 B6, and he nudges in front of his teammate by a factor of about 4/10. Van Kobe P6 out here with 7.5 minutes of this qualifying session to go. Let's see now how Teppo Temba is faring. Being called by some as a silent assassin. It's bad for Q1 tires, says Seaclay. Let's see now how Teppo Temba will fare. Doesn't have too much trouble coming to that really slow left-hander. Did not quite touch the apex there. Sends it down the CRS straight into the left-hander. Teppo Temba holds it together. He's now approaching that split between sectors 2 and 3. What'll it be for the Ferrari driver this time? It's a 107.8, so a decent time, slightly behind the likes of the splits, of course, that Seaclay and Brakeaway had put on. So Teppo Temba towards the final corner now. How will he keep it together? He manages to do a fairly decent job. Points it straight. Hurdles towards the start-finish line. Crosses the line. 129.9. He's the third man today to put a time at that 1:29 mark. Teppo Temba lighting up the timesheets for Ferrari and tucks behind Brakeaway by just over 3/10 of a second. Looks like Romeo, it was a D-Wax on the verge of crossing the line. It is Romeo trying to improve on that time, and improve he does, but it's only P10, 131.9. So as it stands, everyone from Bankobi, Tapiso, Liddy, and Romeo at risk of getting knocked out here and not taking part in the shootout for Q3. D-Wax has crossed the line in the 130s. It's a 130.536 for Romeo's teammate. As things stand, Romeo has it all to do. He's going to have to give it another go, but it's still got time. Still a lot of time. M. Shengu, M. Fundo still need to set their own representative times. As Buddha's 132 is not enough. Not enough thus far. TT left. He's on AI. Oh, TT left the lobby. Well, hopefully we can have him back. And we do hope that it's not a case of load shedding affecting him. The gents from T2 were in the 129. Let's see now. This is an outlap for Liddy, so instead we're going to watch someone trying to keep it together on their representative lap. M. Shengu finds himself P10 on the hot lap that he had set. Is he pushing once again? Because he's definitely not safe. He's got enough fuel on board. He may as well keep it going. But he's going slower. He's about 6/10 slower, is M. Shengu. Oh man, definitely not the best follow-up effort here. But let's stay on board with the Mercedes driver. Somewhere being cheered on by Malusi the Malusi, his teammate, of course. No issues with the apex there. Points it straight, opens up that rear wing. M. Shengu on the back straight. Hurdles down towards the left-hander. And goes wide of that apex. Be careful. This is, we saw some spins, remember, on that particular corner. Mshengu went a little bit wide, but he's definitely moving significantly slower. Sector 2 split in the 1:12s. So we might well be seeing Mshengu pushing to bring this core back home safely now. D-Wax, what can he do? Well, he's slowed down, made way for the Red Bull for today, for belonging to M. Fundo. But looks like Liddy is definitely improving. Going 7/10 quicker at the end of Sector 1 for him. Well, what can he do? Liddy can't... Oh! Goes so wide out of that slow corner. Doesn't manage to incur a track invalidation, though. So this effort could still count, but how much time will it cost Liddy? He was going so quick. 7/10 quicker than his previous effort. He was looking solid to secure his spot in Q3. 3 minutes of this qualifying session to go. He's still 7/10 quicker than his best effort. Liddy is on the brink here, but will it be enough? Because everybody from Zotal to Tsapiso ahead of him are now on their out laps. With 3 minutes of this qualifying session to go, does Liddy have enough fuel on board to A, improve on his time, and B, keep on going? He crosses the line, 130.3. It's P4 for Liddy. A beautiful effort. Finds himself comfortably through to Q3 as things stand. Unless the likes of Zotal, Bankobi, and Tsapiso will look to have something to say about that. Speaking of Tsapiso, it looks like he's definitely on a significantly slower attempt here, even though it says it's a hot lap, but we'll catch up with him a little bit later. Great lap by Liddy, being cheered on in the comment section. S. Buddha, that being Compose's teammate, comes now through the right-hander. This treacherous sequence of corners, how will he handle it? Oh, wide! And it's another spin for the Williams driver, but not a complete 360. He manages to correct that car, and he points it back down the DRS straight. Oh, how many precious tenths will that cost him? That red fuel light is flashing for Espuda. This is his last chance saloon to possibly secure his spot in Q3. But that Sector 2 split might be looking so slow comparatively. And as I say, that is slow. It's another spin. Oh, those tires are screaming. And Espuda is really struggling here. Iswile, indeed, Espuda has got his work cut out. And Fundo also on a last chance saloon. His Sector 2 split in the 108. Not exactly quick, but could it be enough to see him pip the likes of Bankobi possibly? Well, time will tell, but he has got all the work to do out here. And Fundo, it's Sector 3, has a bit of a twitch to correct that line. Seaclay goes even quicker. It's a 128.8, the quickest time by far. And Fundo crosses the line, P10, 131.4. It may not be enough. Romeo and Esbuda behind him are on their hot lap attempts of their own. It's 1 minute to go in Q2. Seaclay is the quickest man by far in Q1 here as we watch Romeo coming through that right-hander unscathed. He slaloms his way through this sequence of turns without too much incident, and it's going to be the right-hander for the AlphaTauri driver. He hugs the apex tightly, was quite heavy on the brakes there, but manages to point that car down towards this sequence of tight left-handers, the slowest left-hander here. Bankobi, meanwhile, has improved to 130.3. It's a P4 for Bankobi, tucked ahead of his teammate, and Bankobi that retires from this session. Zotal finds himself up into the 130s as well, 130.074 for the Alpine driver, who has just recently crossed the line. We're on board with Romeo, aka Mandla. How will he do? How will he fare? He's gone 7/10 quicker, almost 8/10 quicker has Mandla. Goes heavy on the curves, manages to keep it together and point that AlphaTauri down this short straight towards the final corner. Esbuda is officially knocked out, as is Mshengu. Can Romeo Mandla knock out Mfundo and secure his spot in Q3? He will do exactly that. It's P9 for Mandla. He secures his spot in Q3. Mfundo is out as things stand. What about Tsapiso? He knows he is at risk because Mfundo is still out on track. Let's hop on board with him. Oh no, it doesn't look like he's going to have enough on the tank. He's already well below the pace, and indeed is well and truly out of Q2. Tsapiso will be seeing Mfundo, possibly. He'll be getting the notice from the race control, or rather the paddock, that his efforts have been enough to secure his spot. And that is your top 10. Seaclay tops the timesheet, 128.8, the fastest man by some margin today, from Brown Boy with that 129.636. Seppo Temba qualifies for that top 10 shootout in P3, and then it's Zotal and Bankobi in the 1 minute 30s, as is Liddy. What a stunning effort and lap that was from the McLaren driver for P6, D-Wax and Gawako P7, Loveness P8, Romeo aka Mandla, solid showing to secure his spot and boot Mfundo out of Q3. He finds himself in that P9 spot, and then of course it's Tsapiso, rounding off the top 10 spots here. So beautiful, beautiful stuff. And that means Mfundo, Mshangu, and S. Buddha have been knocked out of Q2 here in Bahrain. That is your top 10 that will be taking part in the shootout, the battle, the joust, the skirmish for pole position. Welcome to the top tier Breakaway League Racing. My name is Bob O'Connor.
Ungankhohlwa mina talks esiyiman. Ekashisa here Bahrain mara shazama na ivele kashisa so yabona.
Yes, it is matching. Tapiso, by the skin of his teeth, is through to the top 10 shootout. So good news for Ferrari. Both cars represented. Both AlphaTauris are represented in the top 10 shootout. And for possibly one of the few times, or the only times this season, both McLarens are in the top 10 shootout. Beautiful stuff. Van Kobe and Liddy will be taking part in the top 10 shootout. We saw Liddy pretty much unload all of his arsenal in that Q2 and really unlock the pace. And, he's definitely going to be one to watch today. A man who's really looking to consolidate his position here in this oh-so-challenging top tier, which, of course, is such a daunting prospect for any driver to maintain their position in Tier 1. Still a lot of the season to go, so Liddy, who's done well today here to secure a spot in Q3, he definitely has a golden opportunity to consolidate his position here. Well, let's see who's going to be one of the first out on track. Looks like it might be, one of the AlphaTauris. Who's out on track first? Oh, Van Kobe. Wasting no time. He's going to look to set an initial banker lap here. And hopefully one that'll challenge the likes of C-Clay and Brown Boy and Seppo Temba. Don't discount Seppo Temba, the silent assassin. Let's see what he could do here today. Van Kobe making sure that he is the Norris of McLaren, says Estello, with Van Kobe having pipped Liddy to that spot in that Q2 battle. McLarens are looking solid. They're going to have to translate this. Of course, there's no points for qualifying. It's only half the job. They have to do the real job when the race, when those lights go out and the race starts. So, but thus far, not a bad effort in that beautiful McLaren updated livery. A lot going on there. A beautiful design to complement the classic papaya orange of recent years. And let's see now what Van Kobe can do. Seppo Temba, the only man thus far to remain in the pits. Everybody else is out on track looking to get that early banker lap in. And the first man who will do so is Van Kobe. He crosses the line to begin this first sector. How much speed does he carry into turn 1? A top speed of 331 kilometers for Van Kobe and hugs that apex. Not too many issues there. It's such a treacherous sequence of corners there. So many opportunities for you to potentially spin, but Van Kobe keeps it together. He's going to be the one to lay down the early marker here. He comes out of that right-hander unscathed to end his first sector with a split of 28.8. That is the time to beat thus far. But the likes of C-Clay, Seppo Temba, Brown Boy will have a lot to say about that. To potentially challenge Van Kobe, comes through the right-hander unscathed and sends it towards this also challenging left-hander. We saw his teammate Woody go wide, but not Van Kobe. Keeps it together, keeps it on line, and opens up that rear wing on this DRS stretch towards this left-hander, whereas Buddha came a cropper last time out. Will Van Kobe also be claimed as a victim of this corner? The answer is a resounding no, as he hurdles towards the end of the Sector 2 split, and for Van Kobe, it's going to be a 107.8. Interesting, do keep note of those splits. 107.8 at the end of Sector 2 for Van Kobe, with 8.5 minutes of the qualifying session to go. He hurdles towards the final corner in this papaya orange McLaren, and he adjusts the nose of the car to point it straight down. No issues for Van Kobe. What kind of a time can he lay the gauntlet is a 129.9. For the first time today, Bankoby through to the 129s. Behind him, it seems, is Brown Boy, who crosses the line even faster, 129.5. And Cinkley, even quicker, 128.7. 128.7. Cinkley leaving nothing to chance. D-Wax has crossed the line with a 130.3, and his teammate Romeo, aka Madla, is on the verge here. He points that AlphaTauri down towards the main straight and brings the car back into the pits. Oh, Madla, what's going on there? What about Zotal? Sector 3 for him. He will cross the line, 130.04. It is a P4, and the Loveness, the Alfa Romeo of Loveness, rather, is on the brink of crossing the line, 129.8. It's a time of the 129s for Loveness. It's P3 provisionally with 7.5 minutes of the qualifying session to go. Cepiso is coming back into the pit. Well. Cinkley once again into the 128s. Comfortably the quickest man out on track here today. Can Bankoby or Loveness or Brown Boy find that extra tenth or two? Well, they're going to need more than a tenth, I'll tell you that, to breach their way into the 1 minute 28. So a lot of work for them to do here, as Bankoby is bringing that core back home, as is Brown Boy, as things stand. Yeah, it's definitely not pushing. They're going to just come safely back into the pits, as will Cinkley, who is now catching his breath, having lit up, illuminated, set scorchers on those timing sheets. He'll come straight back into the pits. Expect D-Wax to follow suit. And Zotal, seemingly, we're going to get a sense of whether or not he's pushing here. And no, he's also going to come safely back into the pits. Now, Tefo Temba has seen what everybody's got, with the exception of his teammate and Mandla, who abandoned their hot laps. Liddy is giving it another go, and Tefo Temba, having now seen that most of the grid is back in the pits, we might just see Tefo Temba giving it a proper go here. So let's see how that'll pan out. Meanwhile, the furthermost driver out on track to begin their first Q3 attempt is Liddy. What can he do? Well, he's going to weave to the left and right, trying to get a semblance of temperature into those tires. So he's going to need to keep things moving on along. Beautiful livery on that McLaren. Updated livery, I would have you know. You see the logos and the interesting design on the side pod of the car as well. A really beautifully designed livery here. But will it be a stunning lap to look at and to feel and to drive as far as Liddy's concerned? Well, he'll be hoping against all hope that is the case, as we count down towards the final 5 minutes of this final qualifying session. If you've just joined us, Cinkley is on provisional pole position, having set that 128.7 from Brown Boy in P2 as things stand. Loveness representing Alfa Romeo, flying that flag high P3 from Bankoby. Also on the second row, Zotal finds himself on the third row alongside Nkawako, aka D-Wax, who as I speak makes his way out for what could be his final outlap. Liddy is the person that we're on board with thus far. Let's see how he fares. He carries a top speed of 331 into turn 1. Similar, almost actually identical speed coming into turn 1 as his teammate. So identical setups, perhaps. He opens up that rear wing and hurdles towards the slow right-hander. Can he keep it together? It's Liddy. Hugs the apex a little bit, but goes slightly wide on the corner exit. And now slaloms his way through this section without too much incident, but he had to relent and hold back on the throttle there. It is gear 3 through this right-hander. And what kind of a sector 2 split will we see from Liddy? He really lit up the timesheet, found himself P4 in Q2, goes wide again coming out of this corner. He seems to really hate it, but despite that, he carries so much speed because he knows he will not invalidate on that sector of the track. What will his sector 2 split be? He's tighter on the left-hand apex there, and no issues coming out, navigating his way out of that corner. His split will be a 108.2, so not exactly lighting it up among the top runners, but as Kaboza appreciates Liddy's gearing, let's see if that translates to a decent effort to challenge possibly the second row, or maybe even the top of the third row. Let's see, Liddy points that car straight. I think Liddy's going wide on purpose. Yes, absolutely, out of that slow corner. Liddy crosses the line, P7, 130.615 for the McLaren driver. Not bad, but, well, with the likes of Tapiso, Romeo, and Sepultemba on the way, there's definitely a lot to do. Tapiso has invalidated. Romeo is still on track, but no, he's going significantly slower. His banker lap is in the 137s, but it can be assumed that he's only now beginning his proper hot lap is Romeo. We'll catch up with him in a second. What about D-Wax? Is he... No, he might not be pushing. Let's get back to Romeo. And he's definitely got enough fuel on board with 2.5 minutes of the qualifying session to go. Very tight through that apex is Romeo. Carries a lot of speed on the apex. He's improved by about 8/100ths of a second. But as things stand, it's not nowhere near enough for him to be challenging even the likes of Liddy. But let's see how much time he can make up towards the end of Sector 2 and what that split will be. He takes a far more conservative line compared to the likes of Liddy, who's happy to go wide through that particular corner. But Mandla points it down this straight. Into the left-hander comes the AlphaTauri, and it's not quite tight to that apex. He's going to need to keep it together, such a treacherous corner that is. And no issues for Mandla, but the split is about 1.7.9. So as things stand, he is going to pick Liddy, who is currently P7. So Liddy's P7 spot is definitely at risk. And he might just tuck either slightly ahead or behind of his teammate in Gawako, a.k.a. D-Wax. It's Romeo Mandla Massimo on the main straight. He will cross the line, P8. Oh, look at that. Liddy hangs on to that P7 spot. So Romeo really losing time comparatively. And Tzeps, who was following closely behind, sets a 130.876 for Ferrari. Now, Sepultemba has left it late. Sepultemba is not leaving the pits. Oh, perhaps he's still disconnected, Sepultemba. So that is, yeah, hopefully you get to see him when the race begins proper, because we have 50 minutes of this qualifying session to go. Looks like Brown Boy is actually behind Seekley, who's on the verge of crossing the line, possibly for the final time. Seekley will cross the line. His best time has not been bested as yet, but that might just be the beginning of a final hot lap attempt. There's a McLaren that is causing a yellow flag. It might just be bad Kobe out in Sector 2. Romeo last time by hitting the apex on the last corner. Says Man Ray, what will Brown Boy do? Oh, he goes 5 cents quicker, but it's not good enough to challenge Sinclair. It's still P2, 129.006 for Brown Boy, who gave it everything, but could not come close. He's still off by a factor of 0.3 from Sinclair. Oh, who cannot be touched as things stand. But Zotile is P3. He set a time in the P3, a time in the 129 for Zotile. Sensational stuff as things stand, as Loveness and Bad Kobe are pretty much done as far as this qualifying session is concerned. And as things stand, it's going to be Seekley in pole position out here in Bahrain. Could not be touched, was clear by a factor of 3 seconds. As we're now watching Zotile, he's definitely bringing that Alpine back home. So instead, no, D-Wax is invalidated, but Romeo is one of the last running drivers, but he's bringing that car back home, also running significantly slower. Was Seekley giving it another go? The answer, I think, is yes. He was pushing one more time. He's going to look to improve, and he doesn't improve. It's a 128.445 for Seekley. Oh, my word, half a second quicker, more than half a second quicker than Brown Boy, who could only do a 129.006. And as we watch, of course, he's definitely not pushing. He's just nursing that car back home as Brown Boy. He's going to have to settle for that front row start. But in P2, scruffy laps is Seekley.
Marusika nga tshela. Scruffy lap kanjani? Useka ma 128.4. Usika angazi skipani. Umuntu uyaslida mara ama 128 uwathatha. watopa hapi lama sector time. I was telling you.
Yes, he must really reveal his secrets. Seagley reckons a time in the 128.2s was possible for him. So yeah, he's according by his standards, he knows what he's capable of. So interesting notes there, interesting remarks there from Seagley. He will start this race in pole position from Brown Boy and Zotal and D-Wax. What a sensational quality from him! 129.7 on the second row is D-Wax. And Loveness and Ban Kobe make up the third row. Luddy tucks right behind his teammate. And Mandla, aka Romeo, is P8 from Teps in P9. And Tepo Tembo, who has possibly ghosted from this session, will start P10 in the race proper. Oh my word. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Seagley lighting up the timesheets, as is customary in his case. 128.4, beautiful effort from the Haas driver. We'll start the Bahrain Grand Prix in pole position. Thank you for joining Breakaway League Racing. We're on the verge of beginning another scorcher of a race. Cannot wait to see how it all pans out. Remember, S. Buddha, M. Shangu, they are here, as is Nebo, I believe. And Nebo will, of course, be racing on behalf of Haas, Seagley's teammate. And man, oh man, if the guys running towards the back can get decent starts, we're in for a beautiful race. Carabo Sapanda says, I did a 128.9, Caboza. Well, Carabo, amen. A lot of talent. Of course, we love to see you do your thing out on track. Carabo's got the pace. And Memory says T2 gents were in the 129s. So beautiful stuff there from Seagley, showing his pedigree once again. And Tendo says different styles of the Gesheche spins. As he says he can't wait to see some spins out here. Yeah, look out for those possible spins out here. We're going to get a formation lap, as is customary. Give these drivers a chance to get the tire temperature up. And from there on, it's lights out. And we go racing in Bahrain. Absolutely cannot wait. Less than 30 seconds until we get our formation lap, putting the final touches on those cars. And Nebo has commandeered Malusi the Malusi's Mercedes today. But of course, he is a Haas driver, don't you forget. And Fundo, similarly, in lungs as a Red Bull, though he does drive for Alpine alongside Zotal. So a lot of storylines here. But a golden opportunity for some of the drivers positioned towards the bottom of the pack to stake their claim for a memorable finish out here. It's green lights for the formation lap, and Nebo will be the driver rounding off proceedings, if you will, situated at the back of this grid. And we'll get a sense of how he fares. Currently in that Mercedes. Tindo asking about the whereabouts of Bertox, who's been dipping in and out of here, doing some analysis on some of the laps that have been put in out here. And Nabo will start just behind S. Buddha and M. Shangu, who are P13 and 12 respectively. And Fundo just was booted out of the top 10 shootout when Mandla, aka Romeo, put in that beautiful lap. And he found himself then waiting and watching Q3 from the sidelines, did M. Fundo. But he will be tucked right behind Seppo Temba in the Ferrari. Unfortunately, Seppo Temba is ghosted. Network issues. Van Kobe versus Liddy should be interesting, says Django. Absolutely. Both drivers, teammates, and Van Kobe, we know, is definitely one to have an eventful start. Beautiful race starts for Van Kobe. Pretty much ever since he joined Breakaway, his race starts have been quite remarkable. What a beautiful day for Zotal in the Alpine P3. Absolutely stunning quali for him. And let's take a look at the tire choices, actually. Zotal, Loveness, Luddy, The three drivers starting on those hard compounds. And Fundo, interestingly, soft compound for the Alpine driver. Very, very interesting. Perhaps Mfundo might be running a soft to hard strategy. He will pit earliest, presumably, and then take those hard tires all the way to the end. Well, that is just my hunch, but of course we'll get a proper sense once the race gets underway in earnest. Let's see how they place those cars. And Shengu, well, finding he was over the grass. He's going to have to tuck his way back into his P12 spot, but unlikely to nail it there. The Ferrari of Tapiso finds his place. Buddha is ready, and Nebo is ready. The drivers are ready, waiting now for the lights to go out. And it is 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. The only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out here in Bahrain. It is Seaclay versus Brown Boy versus Zotal. Let the race restart. Bankobi going wide. Look, he's gained 3 places as Bankobi coming into turn 1. And what will it be as we look to get an adjusted camera angle? Bankobi finds himself in the top 3. Zotal has lost a place, and there looks to be a little bit of carnage towards the back. But Tapiso has lost 4 places. Luddy has lost 7. Nightmare start for the McLaren driver. He's going to have to, well, fight his way back after such a beautiful qualifying session. He was in Q3, but finds himself at the back of the pack, Liddy. He might have had a spin, but Bankobi, his teammate, again, a sensational start, finding himself in front of Zotal. As things stand, beautiful stuff. And Nebo has gained 6 places at the start of this race. But what about Buddha? 4 places gained as Mfundo and Mshengu also gained a little bit of an advantage. We're on board now with the Alpine driver on those hard tires, remember. That is also a huge factor to consider. Those hard tires, even though they went on a formation lap, of course, do not have the similar level of advantage as the likes of the medium runners. And Bankobi, of course, might be on a different tire compound. We're going to get a sense of that. Indeed, Bankobi's on those mediums. And look at that gap, already 1.5 seconds that Zotal has to make up to Bankobi. D-Wax versus Loveness, and behind D-Wax is his teammate Mandla, who's tucked right into the slipstream as Enlevo is hanging on to the coattails of the AlphaTauri of Mandla. D-Wax has DRS, is within DRS rather, of Loveness, who's running P5 currently. Oh, Enlevo goes side by side with Mandla, and Enlevo goes ahead. Superior straight line speed for the Haas driver, who has commandeered Mercedes today, and finds himself side by side. Almost caught up there to Mandla, but did not quite get that move done. Buddha and Mfundo are having a titanic tussle of their own, and as they come out of turn 2, Buddha has managed to pip Mfundo, who, you would remember, is running those soft compound tires. So, despite having a tire advantage in theory, Mfundo not having an answer to these drivers, but he still finds himself in the top 10, Mfundo, which is an improvement compared to that start of his. So Mfundo is going to tuck into the inside of Buddha here. It's a dive bomb, a classic dive bomb, and squeezes Buddha, has to take a much wider line coming out of that exit, and Buddha manages to back on here. Mfundo had the inside line, but Buddha had the lasting advantage as they go down onto this stretch of road here. And Liddy, 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Perhaps Liddy is taking track advantage of the track limits at the same place where he liked to go wide. He's moving so slowly, is Liddy, having a nightmare of a day, contending with the ghost of the Ferrari. Oh, Bankobi! What happened to Bankobi? Might have had an almighty spin. Look at him. Zotal now up to P3, back to P3. Bankobi, who started so well, finds himself, he possibly spun there. That win looked to be intact, but Bankobi is now down to P10. Seaclay then, Brown Boy takes the fastest lap in lap 3 of 29, and Bankobi will be kicking himself. He's still within the points, and as DRS gets enabled, he now has a fight back on his hands, and will be praying for a safety car. Will Bankobi started off well, but fell off, and Fundo goes for it on the inside of Buddha, but Buddha manages to hang on there, coming into turn 1, and Fundo has been thinking about it. His red light is flashing as Mfundo. So he's trying, he's huffing and puffing, but cannot blow the Williams down. Oh no, Mfundo has no answer. Mfundo has no answer for the lines that Buddha is taking. Beautiful stuff from Buddha, who was squeezed to the wide there, remember, and really not having an answer there for the Williams driver. Now let's catch up back with the battle for the race lead. It's Brown Boy versus Clay in lap 3 of 29. Here it is from the perspective of the Red Bull driver. The only hope as far as Red Bull points are concerned today. Oh, Clay has a huge twitch on that exit. That'll give Brown Boy a little bit of an advantage, potentially. Oh, the gap was still half a second. Still half a second. We saw Clay struggling for grip there. Could we see the champion spinning out and dropping down the order here? Well, wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that throw the cat amongst the pigeons? Brown Boy is there to take advantage if Clay slips up here. He has DRS, does Brown Boy. He will open up that rear wing, and these top two are ahead by a factor of 6.5 seconds. Absolute daylight between themselves and Zotal, who's running in P3 on those hard compound tires. Zotal, meanwhile, has to contend with the specter of Loveness, who is on his tail and is running P. Oh, Loveness has a huge moment. A twitch, but he manages to get that car, keep it together, and that'll bring D-Wax into the reckoning here. D-Wax, what can he do? He can smell his potential overtake. Zotal will say thank you, Loveness, for spinning out there. That'll give him breathing space. And Loveness has slipped out of Zotal's DRS and right within the clutches of D-Wax. But can D-Wax take advantage here? Can he take advantage? That is the question. Further down, looks like Bankobi said, oh, that's a huge spin. Espuda has spun out. And Bankobi is now fighting with Mfundo. Bankobi goes a little bit wide. Mfundo's a little bit tucked in. Almost touches the rear left, the rear right. But he does not get that done. Mshengu is also spiraling down the picking order here. But, Espuda spinning out in such dramatic fashion in that battle between himself, Bankobi, and Mfundo. Bankobi on a recovery drive here. He has to contend with Mfundo, who tucks on the inside. Risky, ballsy move by Mfundo, but he gets that inside line, but it's not enough because Bankobi will get a clean exit. No! Yes, they're fighting. Bankobi now has the advantage as, they're going to come across the ghost of, is it Mshengu? No, it's Nebo who had spun. Oh my word, drama. Spin City all over this track. And Zabo is now going to have to fight his way up from P8. Oh my goodness, it is absolute pandemonium with spins up and down the track. Absolutely treacherous conditions. We've seen Espuda, we've seen Nebo now spinning. Will some of the top runners spin? And Fundo, trying to keep up with these top runners on his soft tires, has used up pretty much all of his battery, and coming into turn 1, his battery is drained all the way down to 3%. Bankobi is hanging on there to that P6 spot and is chasing down D-Wax, but that gap, 6.2 seconds. Meanwhile, Brown Boy has fallen out of Clay's DRS. Perhaps he had a little bit of a snap, a little bit of a twitch, a little bit of a moment, but now he's going to have his work cut out to make sure he catches up to the back of that Haas. Mfundo is running too much downforce, reckons the Caboza in the comment section. Perhaps that is the case. It is a Brown Boy keeping it steady, but looking to regain some sort of an advantage and claim that P1 spot eventually, but a long way to go. Loveness has been finally overtaken by D-Wax. These two, of course, were flirting with the possibility of switching positions, and D-Wax has finally got that move done. Now up to P4. Sensational stuff. Beautiful stuff from the Alpha Tauri driver, who's had a really great qualifying session, and right now is potentially in contention for a podium spot if he can bridge this gap to the back of Zotal and take advantage by the time the pit window opens for the Alpha Tauri and the Alpine driver, respectively. Brown Boy, meanwhile, is back within DRS of Clay. He's chasing him, hurtling down towards turn 1, and he's nowhere near close enough to get that move done, but he takes that turn 1 and 2 cleanly, does Brown Boy in that Red Bull. Clay still looking comfortable, 65% with his battery remaining, as he looks to keep Brown Boy at bay here. Absolutely sensational stuff. What about Mfundo, who's been draining all of his battery power, and he's going to have to pit first and foremost out of his whole pack. And the only man who's got a time penalty thus far is Letty, who seems to be having a titanic tussle with Mshengu. Oh, Letty and Mshengu. Mshengu comes off second best, and Letty coming out of that exit gets that move done. Tepiso looks to take a bite of the Mercedes himself. He tucks one to the inside, and Mshengu's red light is flashing. Tepiso, more battery power. He has the inside line to the Ferrari driver, and Mshengu goes wide, gives Tepiso more than enough room. Who gets a clean exit? They tap wheels. But they manage to keep it together. Tepiso relents, and he resumes the chase of the Mercedes driver. Mshengu hanging on for dear life.
yabona umelusi la khona uminyile athe bambezela lapho mshengu ekushubile lapho mshengu lapho kumophile then uzamela amapoint even ngatholi i-T10 i-P10.
Maybe perhaps, but he's going to have to contend with Cepiso, who is not going to go down without a fight here. Cepiso relented and let the Mercedes go, but right now looks like they're catching up to Liddy, who is not having such a great time. And as Cepiso hurdles towards the back of that Mercedes, Buddha is slowly but surely catching up to the back of Cepiso himself. Yellow flag sector 2. I wonder who that might be for as we hop on board and get a front row seat to the battle between Shengu and Liddy T ahead of him. What'll it be for the Shengu T in the W13? As I start to hurtle off a little bit of rhymes, well, it's they've got their work cut out, and Neville is on the verge here. It's a Neville versus Mfundo, who has yet to pit on those soft compound tires, which by now will be giving him a lot to think about as far as tire grip is concerned. In front of Mfundo is Ban Kobe. This is the front row seat from Neville's perspective, who himself spun out, and that is how he fell behind Mfundo and Ban Kobe. So, and Neville also looking to recover over here, but can he get it done? Well, he's got almost 22 laps to go to get it done, so time is on his side, but he's going to need to keep it together here, especially knowing that Mfundo has used up so much of his electric power to stay within touching distance here. Looks like behind these guys, Shengu and Cepiso have swapped positions, but as things stand, your race leader comfortable by some margin, it is still Seekley. That man, Seekley, the quickest man in all qualifying sessions, the quickest man on track, has put a breathing space between himself and the Brown Boy running P2 today in that Red Bull. Zotal hanging on to P3, but has fallen so far behind this pack. He's almost 11 seconds behind Brown Boy is Zotal, and well, if he's not careful, going to find himself in a huge battle with the likes of D-Wax and Loveness. As things stand, Loveness is currently P5, and Liddy is the only person to have racked up a 5-second time penalty. He's the only person to have racked up a time penalty. Shengu T spun, says Kapoza. That's why he finds himself back in the P12, does Shengu. Nobody seemingly having come into the pit as yet. Buddha is on the verge of crossing that start-finish line. And as I say that, he does so. He hurdles towards turn 1, and the ghost of Tsepo Temba is there and thereabouts. But the battle to be watching is between Mfundo, Ban Kobe, and Nebo. This man, who already had his own spin. We're going to hop on board with Nebo, who is Seekley's teammate, remember. It's another potential decent day as far as points is concerned for Team Half. Here comes Nebo down this DRS streak. Opens up that rear wing, but does not get too much in the way of an advantage. Will Mfundo risk it for the biscuit? No, not this time. Mfundo, twitching, having a bit of a snap coming out of that corner exit as Seekley sets another fastest lap, 132.5 in lap 9 of 29, as we watch Nebo trying to keep in touch with Mfundo. D-Wax has surpassed Zotal, further ahead of the pack. No, Zotal has spun. Oh, Zotal is spun coming out of the final corner. That's why he's dropped all those positions. Oh, D-Wax is now up to the podium, and Loveness is now hunting him down. Oh, Zotal. Oh, Zotal, the final corner spinning. Yes, how will you find it spinning out of the corner? Zotal now has his work cut out for him, and Mfundo relents. And it is indeed a soft to hard tire strategy for the Alpine driver, that being Mfundo. And as Zotal, or rather as Mfundo comes into the pits, that kind of gives the likes of Neville and Ban Kobe some room to catch their breath and hurtle their way towards the back of that Alpine and see whether or not they can catch up and get that move done. And Neville, who was chasing Mfundo, is now lining up a potential overtake. To get the correct view. And Neville is lining up a potential overtake on Ban Kobe here. And let's see whether or not he can get it done. Ban Kobe is flashing, trying to hang on to that P6 spot. And Neville has been fairly circumspect with his battery usage thus far. Only 24% of his battery power remaining. So on those DRS straights, if he can tuck even closer behind the McLaren, he might just be able to get this move done, but he's going to have to bide his time. Ahead of Bankobi is Zotal, who, remember, has just had that spin of his own. Spin City out here in Bahrain, spins all over the track, and behind another, of course, is Romeo, aka Mandla, by a factor of about 4.7 seconds. Into turn one they come, quite close. Braking late is Nubble. Bankobi has a moment and has to adjust his line accordingly. He is now within 4/10 is Nubble, and he can smell this move coming. He will bide his time, potentially getting it done on the next DRS straight. And there comes Zotal now, as these two are battling it out. It is Zotal who is now at risk of being overtaken. Bankobi quite slow there, and Nubble has to lift off so much. He has to lift off so much, and Bankobi goes wide, and Neville is just going to hang on here. 2/10 is the gap between these two. Hello, Dini, who says Sunny Bonani, green ad. Oh! And Neville had the move lined up, but he has a huge twitch, and it's a spin, and sends that rear wheel into the wall.
Neville kabuhlungu tu. This will overtake.
Neville, huge moment to sending that rear wheel into the pack. And Romeo will need no second invitation. He says, well, if you're going to give me that P7, I'm going to take that P7. And right now, Bankobi will breathe a huge sigh of relief because Romeo is the driver that is now on his tail, but only by a factor of 6.4 seconds. So, and Nebo will be absolutely livid with that. At the back of the pack, Esbuda versus M. Shengu. Williams versus Mercedes, and he's tucked right behind M. Shengu here, and so it's a potential repeat scenario here. Can he get it done? Will M. Shengu spin like Endebo? Well, that'll be something. That'll really be something indeed. Esbuda lines it up on the main straight here, 19% worth of battery power. He's just going to have to be patient here, keep it together. He's going to have to keep it together here. And he comes into the back of the Mercedes. Esbuda braking so late. And did he damage his wing? Here comes M. Fundo. He's not going to need a second invitation. M. Shengu has spun and has gone into the grass.
Umsheko manje ngelonimo manje sekagundutshana. Mara dayide nguSbuda. Umsheko kabuhlungu kanjena. Mara Sbuda. Dayide. Maybe uthathe damage uSbuda.
Maybe he did take some damage. Esbuda braking so late into turn one and absolutely ruining M. Shengu's prospects to hang on to a potential points finish if he could have kept it together here. And Esbuda is now in a recovery drive, has a huge snap there, and Mfundo manages to get some breathing space by a factor of almost 8/10. Has Esbuda taken damage? That was a huge moment into the back of the Mercedes there, and they will be livid. Toto Wolff slamming his headphones onto the desk there and complaining to the stewards. What is the Williams driver doing here? Esbuda, maybe feeling apologetic there, was quite, really late on the brakes there was Esbuda, as a case right there, as Mfundo was way more conservative onto the brakes there. Meanwhile, it looks like there's a battle taking place between Zotal and Loveness a little bit further ahead. But this is absolutely tasty stuff. These drivers trying to fight their way back into the reckoning for the points here. It's so hard to claim points in the top tier. Time to pick for the hards, reckons Crash in the comment section. And undercut, getting potential undercut. C-Clay, Brown Boy, D-Wax have yet to pit. Neither, of course, will Zotal and Loveness, who are running those hard compound tires. Esbuda, 11 lap old mediums. He found himself spinning and found himself towards the back of the pack. Did Esbuda, and already had another huge incident with M. Shengu there. So we'll see how his battle fares for the rest of this race. Now let's get back to Loveness. Tato, aka Loveness, hunting down the Alpine of Zotal, who has not had such a great time here today. He qualified in the top 3, but was pipped by D-Wax when he had that spin of his own a couple of laps ago. We're now on lap 13 of 29. Welcome to Bahrain. If you've just joined us, it's the top tier Breakaway League racing. We're on board with Loveness, who has been lining up a potential overtake on the Alpine of Zotal for a couple of laps now. Can he get it done? As he does that, behind him is the Spectre of Van Kobe. Loveness carries a top speed over the 320-kilometer mark coming into turn one. He has a spin of his own, does Loveness. Van Kobe says, and Loveness will now be kicking himself. These drivers struggling for grip here. So many spins. Loveness, the latest to give us his own rendition of a spin, this time coming out of the first couple of corners. And he'll definitely hope to cool those tires down and not get any semblance of overheating, which would send him twirling and tumbling and spinning once again, and bringing the likes of Romeo back into the reckoning. Well, Loveness was hunting down Zotal, but right now has that papaya orange McLaren in his sights. 14% worth of battery power left, and as I say that, Van Kobe himself is flashing that red light on the back of the McLaren, indicates that Van Kobe is down to less than 10% worth of battery power. Crash is asking, are Brown Boy and Seaflay that much faster than the pack? Over a second and a half worth of an advantage per lap. Is it really that hectic? Well, Brown Boy and Seaflay definitely keeping it together at the front of the pack as the rest of the grid clamors and scrambles and hurdles trying to get to jostle for position here. And D-Wax is the first of the front runners to come into the pits. Will be passed, of course, by Van Kobe and the like. D-Wax is in the pits, as is Van Kobe, and will fit those hard tire compounds and come out. He was definitely some way away from the top two, so might not be an undercut per se. So we'll see whether or not he can gain a significant advantage over the likes of Loveness as this race goes on. Now remember, Loveness, Zotal started on those hard compound tires, but already, even if the likes of Seaflay pit, Seaflay will definitely come out as things stand. Might just come out ahead of the Alpine of Zotal here. D-Wax comes out of the pits, P6. Decent position for him. D-Wax, those tires will still be cold. And as he looks to warm them up, Cepiso can smell blood, can smell a potential overtake. He's now within DRS of the AlphaTauri, is Cepiso. So let's see whether or not this can translate. Oh no! He has his own spin, does Cepiso! As we watch him coming out of that, he was so eager. He could smell that move coming. But counted his chickens before they could hatch here. And now it looks, Van Kobe gets a time warning there for track limits as Liddy has to concede there. Liddy thought about the overtake, but he had to concede there and tucks back behind his teammate. And, wouldn't that be something if they give us a proper battle? Brown Boy has come into the pits. It's a potential undercut, but will it be enough? Will Brown Boy undercut Seaflay here? Brown Boy is back out on track as we watch this battle. It looks like Mfundo, who has no regard for his battery power, Mfundo is looking to get this move done on Liddy. Now towards the main straight, but Liddy gets a cleaner exit. Mfundo will not have enough in the tank as Liddy weaves to the right to try and break the toe and diminish slipstream advantage that Mfundo might get into turn one come this trio. Cepiso, Van Kobe, Liddy. It's a clean exit through turns 1 and 2 for this pack. And let's see now how they can get it done. Cepiso has yet to pit. Neither, of course, has Seaflay, who is at the front of the pack. Looks like Van Kobe gets a nice clean exit there. Gets a bit of an advantage versus his teammate. Van Kobe was within a tenth of the back of the Ferrari. Seaflay has finally come back into the pit. And we're going to see whether or not Van Kobe can get this move done. As I say that, he slips back by some margin. Seaflay finally takes his spot in the pit lane. He slips on those hard tires. It's a clean, beautiful stop from Team Haas. And Brown Boy is only now coming out to that main final turn, and it looks like Seaflay is going to be well and truly safe. But remember, Seaflay is on cold tires. It looks like at the back of the pack, S. Buddha might have had a huge spin in sectors 1 and 2, at the cusp of those sectors. Let's see if Brown Boy can bridge this gap as C-Clay is on his outlap. Remember, C-Clay right now is looking to get those tires warmed up. And Brown Boy is definitely catching up. It was 6 seconds behind, finds himself now 5.4. Could it be, yes, 5.3 seconds. Brown Boy on those warmer tires is bridging that gap and trying to catch up to the back there. Meanwhile, Tapiso, Liddy have yet to pit. This battle is still rambling on. Ban Kobe, who had the advantage as far as McLaren was concerned, finds himself, perhaps he spun. He's at the back of this fatal four-way, if you will, between Enfundo, Liddy, and Tapiso as well. Enfundo has overtaken Liddy, meanwhile. He was lining that up with Enfundo, who has no disregard for his battery power, and right now, Tapiso, on those older tires, is at risk of being overtaken by the Alpine driver who has today commandeered the Red Bull. It is C-Clay leading from Brown Boy by a factor of 4 or so seconds. Then we have Zotal, then Loveness, who was half a second behind Zotal. So we're going to catch up with them in a second or two. And Fundo thought about it, but he was nowhere near close enough to get that move done. He's going to straighten that car. He's got 13% worth battery power. How much straight line speed does he have? Brown Boy goes quickest as he crosses the line there, and Fundo relents on the brakes there. Seps is going all the way to P11. Reckons crash. Seps is hanging on here to P6. He's not pitting his Tapiso. He's not giving anything away. And as Fundo fights to get a look in, Liddy is hanging on and now dragging his teammate Ban Kobe within his DRS. And Fundo weaves left and right, nowhere near close enough as they come through the penultimate and final corner. Will Tapiso finally relent? It looks like he's finally coming back into the pit. And he really held us pack up. There goes Enfundo, and followed swiftly by the McLaren pair. Now, Loveness is on the brink here. He has been thinking about it. He's been lining it up. These two started on those hard compound tires, and despite that, they lost so much time. Seppo Temba ghosted Mispano. It is the ghost of Seppo Temba which has been running most of this race. Perhaps network issues, sadly. But right now, it is the Alfa Romeo of Loveness on the brink. And what can he do here versus Zotal, who manages to keep it together out of those treacherous sequence of corners, and who is following behind Loveness? Now it's D-Wax, which is so far behind. Remember, the likes of D-Wax onward had already pitted. So D-Wax, once these two come in, will potentially getting back to that P3 spot. But look out, of course, for the likes of Zotal and Loveness towards the end. If they opt to go for that hard to soft strategy, Zotal pits, Loveness does not go for it. He takes an opposite approach to Zotal, and let's see if the overcut will work for Loveness if he decides to come into the pits on this next lap for him. Ban Kobe versus Enfundo. Ban Kobe with the inside line. Ban Kobe was almost getting that line, but Ban Kobe tucks it to the inside now. Will he get this move into the right-hander? He's nowhere near close enough as the Zotal opts for a set of medium compound tires with 11 or so laps of racing to go. Zotal has pitted, and let's see whether or not Loveness can get this move done. Ban Kobe, superior speed, top speed of 330 or so coming into turn 1. He will have that move done nice and cleanly. He's going to look to keep it together. Don't spin, Ban Kobe. We've seen so many spins. Loveness spun, says Caboza in the comment section. Loveness now 15 seconds behind Brown Boy. So, yeah, Loveness losing whatever advantage he could have possibly gained here. But Ban Kobe getting that move done, meanwhile, on Enfundo. What about Liddy? Can he keep up? Oh, he's 1.6 seconds behind the Red Bull today of Enfundo. So, definitely some work to do. Romeo Mandla has kept it steady, has kept his nose clean. No drama, no hectic incidents for the AlphaTauri driver. Who's that going wide? Liddy, who really likes taking liberties out of that corner. We have 10 laps of racing to go in the top tier Breakaway League racing. It is Romeo hunting down the McLaren of Liddy T. 1.8 seconds, 1.7 seconds the gap now between the AlphaTauri and the McLaren. Behind Romeo by a factor of 15 seconds is another in a brand new set of hard compound tires, just 2 laps for him. Sapiso finally pitted, came out P11. Crash spot on there on his prediction. Esbuda, P12 for him. Of course, had all those spins and ran into the back of Shengu, who's currently running P13, and the ghost of Tsepo Temba is on the verge of being lapped by Loveness. And as I say that, Loveness gets that move done. Liddy finally came to the pits. 18-lap old hard tires was Liddy. Finally pits for medium compound tires. And will Zotao cope better on this compound of tire? Well, he's chasing down D-Wax. And remember, Loveness has yet to pit. So the gap between Zotao and D-Wax now 3 seconds. And we're going to get a sense of whether or not Zotao can get this P4 spot, and or at least challenge for that P4 spot, potentially soon to be P3 spot, because Loveness has yet to pit. Hop on board now with the Alpine driver, as Crash rightfully notes that Loveness is losing so much time ahead of D-Wax, who we see right there taking the right-hander from Zotao's perspective. Zotao's going to need to keep it together. It's quite possible that Loveness is the only, or rather the second man, to switch between hard and soft compound of tire. We saw Mfundo start this race on softs. He then switched to hard compound tires. That was 10 laps ago for Mfundo. So we're potentially seeing Loveness go for the inverse strategy. Zotao improves on his personal best by a factor of half a second. So he's definitely liking life on these medium compounds, is Zotao. 2.5 seconds is the gap now to D-Wax. And as I say that, corner by corner, the advantage seems to be edging in Zotao's favor by about a tenth or so with each sector. So Zotao looking comfortable. Ooh, definitely a little bit sounded like a bit of a lockup, a tire lockup for Zotao there. Keeps it together, slaloms through this section. P5 for Zotao. A decent day for Alpine if you can hang on here, or potentially get that move done on D-Wax. Zotao, don't spin, just this once.
And what the fuck, man, as it's on speed. Siyazi ukuthi uyayithanda dayini mara hayi driver lane ungaspeed izothi lesaqala
2 seconds is the gap between Zotao and D-Wax. He's enjoying life in the mediums. He just needs to hold his nerve. That's a definite podium, says Crash. He needs to keep it together here, Zotao. He needs to hang on. And it's a potential memorable podium finish here. But please do not spin as they go past the ghost of Tsepo Temba. It is Zotao currently running P5 and challenging D-Wax for that spot. Loveness concedes! With 9 laps to go, he comes into the pits, does Loveness. And let's see who will pass him. Looks like D-Wax will get that move done comfortably, because Loveness is only just getting those tires fitted. Yet, D-Wax is now up to the podium places. Zotao will look to challenge him, and Loveness, who pitted so late, opts for medium compound tires. What about Ban Kobe? Will he come out in front of Ban Kobe? That is the question. Ban Kobe is screaming down towards turn 1, but Loveness is going to be ahead. Goes wide. Colder tires, remember. Ban Kobe can smell this potential overtake, as Loveness is going to look to work those tires into optimum condition. Loveness is down to under 20% worth of battery power, and Ban Kobe on the older hards, warmer hards, I will have you know, can smell this potential overtake in prospect. Lap 21 of 29, yellow flag in sector 3. I wonder who that is for. As I look on the track map, it's been cleared now. Ban Kobe is within DRS of the Alfa Romeo. Ban Kobe versus Loveness. Oh, a tasty battle in prospect. He's going to need to keep it together. Ban Kobe, remember, has had some fair share of, on-track drama of his own. He opens up that rear wing as Crash laments Loveness' tire strategy, which sees him pitting for mediums so late in the game. And, finds himself now right in the thick of a battle to hang on to that P5 spot. Loveness is now 9.5 seconds behind Zotao, so he's going to have his work cut out if he's going to hope to take part in that battle for P3. But he's going to have to hope for a safety car at this point. That is going to be his only saving grace to potentially see him. Oh, Esbuda has crashed out! Esbuda is the first driver to crash out here today. He loses his car. He was running P12 with the Williams driver, and Kubota, who's been hoping against all hope for points for Williams, sees his teammate crash out in lap 22 of 29. It's a yellow flag in sector 2 for the carnage of Asbuda, but we do not get a safety car. It looks like it's just going to be yellow flags. The driver's going to have to slow down on that portion of the track, and the track has been cleared. Asbuda crashing out, but not bringing out the safety car. Bankobi is eager now. I hope he doesn't spin, says Crash, as we were watching Bankobi slowly and surely work his way towards the back of that Alfa Romeo. And right now, it is D-Wax versus Zotal. The gap here is now 1.1 seconds. Give it a couple of laps, and Zotal will be within striking distance of a potential overtake. But 6 laps of this race to go. Can he get it done? Can Zotal get it done? Man Ray says we should roll out the red carpet and welcome Asbuda to Tier 2 next season. Well, that might yet be the case, but Zotal has crossed the detection point. Not sure if it was well within to give him DRS, and the answer is yes. He finally has DRS. Does Zotal, he's going to look to spare that battery power and just tuck within the DRS of the Alpha Tauri and make D-Wax use up all of his battery power. But as I say that, look at that. D-Wax has played the long game here and has been saving up his ERS. 41%. Let's go, Zolanso, in the comment section. Zotal had more laps to cover compared to Loveness. Medium seems to be working from Zotal. That was Dini in the comment section. And the Nucho, a.k.a. Peace, responding to Dini there in the comment section. Do not spin, do not spin.
Shemuzo thile bamculela bavula icilonga lapho bacula angazi bacula number 43. Lapha ecilongeni bamculela ama-hints balayita amakhandlela nje. Ebamenyile ukuthi angaspini uzothile.
Yes, there are people are miniing for Zotal not to spin, but right now he lines it up. He's tucked right behind the Alpha Tauri. Can he get this move done? He tucks tight to the apex, but D-Wax will not be caught unawares here. He has been so good on the... Ooh, he's been so good as far as sparing his battery has D-Wax, but he's on the harder compound of tire, the hard tire, versus Zotal's mediums. Loveness running 8 seconds behind this pack now. Let's see if he can get this move done. Has a little bit of a tire screech there. Oh, but right now he's so close. He can smell the overtake. He goes on the inside. It's Zotal. Alpine versus AlphaTauri, and that straight line speed. Superior Zotal back up to the podium places and gets that move done cleanly on the AlphaTauri of D-Wax, who will now have to tuck back into Zotal's DRS. Now, can Zotal keep it together coming out of turns 1 and 2? The answer is yes. He is within half a second of D-Wax. No need to panic. Amazing exits have crashed. And as Man Ray asks him personal question,
angazi ukuthi funani reportani lento lena manje i-adult dating mana thina sasebancane sisase-innocent lento lena ukuthi sizobona abo bana abo-adult dating site hayi man asizazi lezi i-Sunday school ayisifundisa ngakanjeni reportani lento lena man.
Yes, please report that fan content in the comment section. Meanwhile, it's D-Wax versus Zotal here. Coming into this difficult left-hander, Zotal keeps it together. D-Wax does not have a snap. But look at that, D-Wax is biding his time. He's going to stay within the DRS of Zotal here. He's going to make Zotal, hopefully, use up as much of his battery power as possible. And when the opportune moment comes, hopefully, D-Wax potentially will then use all of that 50% with the battery power to take full advantage of a potential overtake here as he uses that battery power. But Zotal has seemingly slipped away here. Oh, is that the red light flashing for Zotal? Yes. 11% with the battery power. Zotal is just trying to break DRS here from Ngawako, aka D-Wax. And yeah, he's he's gonna have his work cut out with 4 laps or so to go. Lap 25 of 29. It's been a beautiful race, a beautiful display from Seekling, the championship leader, the 2-time champion, the gold standard, Mr. Purple Sector, Mr. Everything, all the superlative. I run out of superlatives for this man who goes even quicker now. He's currently going 7/10 quicker than his previous personal best on 9-lap-old hard compound tires. Seaclay looking absolutely beautiful and sensational and consistent, and on the verge potentially of another fast lap. Looks like someone's coming into the pits. Is that Mshengu? Yes, it is. Seaclay goes fastest, 131.070. Bromboy has kept it together, kept his nose clean. 10.5 seconds is the gap. Absolutely sensational, beautiful stuff from the Haas driver there. Zotal is a further 35 seconds behind Brown Boy. That is the interval gap between these two. So just to get a sense of the gap to the leader, 45 seconds behind the leader is Zotal. So that just gives a sense of Seaclay's dominance here in the Bahrain. With 3 laps of racing to go, he has built a gap of 10 seconds to P2 and about 45 and 46 between the drivers fighting it out for that final podium place. It is D-Wax versus Zotal. A beautiful battle as we get another yellow flag. Is that Ban Kobe? Who brought out the yellow flag? It might have been Ban Kobe, you know? It might have been Ban Kobe, who's now finding himself and mired in another battle with Mfundo, potentially, towards the end of this race. Brown Boy and Seaclay are in a class of their own, 45 seconds ahead. Absolutely sensational stuff. Carabo Sabanda says Seaclay can pit twice and still get P2. Yeah, that is the level that we're dealing with here. That is the absolute sensational levels that Seaclay is managing to put together here, race after race, lap after lap. He is absolutely sublime. Brown Boy must pit and go for the fastest lap. Well, with that gap, Brown Boy definitely has nothing to lose, as D-Wax has all of it to lose, as he was fighting for the podium was D-Wax, but he sends it into the wall.
Usoyithola kanjani uhlele ebondeni? Bheka uLoveness uyadlula manje. Mara D-Wax, kabuhlungu kanje Loveness. Hayi kanjena, hayi kanjena D-Wax. Bekalule ipodium uD-Wax. Kabuhlungu kanjena.
D-Wax sends it into the wall, and Loveness is now up to P4. The man whose pit strategy was questioned by the comment section is now up to P4. What a day for Loveness. Oh my word. Wow. Absolutely crazy end to the race here. And depending on the level of control that D-Wax has over his car, with 2 laps to go, he's just going to have to fight it out. He can't pit here. He's going to lose too much if he comes into the pits, D-Wax. He's going to have to keep the car out on track, and he's going to lose too much if he comes back into the pits here. So D-Wax is just going to have to grit his teeth and drive that semi-wingless car back to, or rather bring that semi-wingless car back home. Liddy is about to overtake a back marker, that back marker being Cepiso. It's the battle for P10, the battle for the final point spot. Yes, Dini, you've got that spot on with lap 28 of 29, the penultimate lap. Who has been your driver of the day? Let us know in the comment section. Yes, Brown Boy is going for it. Brown Boy is pitting. Brown Boy pits in lap 28 of 29. He knows, Brown Boy, that he has a huge gap. He can afford to take the risk. Zotal is so far behind Brown Boy that he pretty much has this in the bag. He needs not worry about being overtaken. But as I say that, here comes Zotal now towards the main straight. Brown Boy is already out. Brown Boy is already in turn 1. So that gap, of course, will be shown and represented accurately in a matter of seconds. And you get a sense of just how far ahead Brown Boy was. Having pitted, it looks like it's a 13-second gap between Brown Boy and Zotal in P3. So, yeah, beautiful stuff there for Brown Boy. Meanwhile, as Brown Boy is going to look to go for the fastest lap, this is Liddy. As we get a look into his eyes, the focus on Liddy's face, gritting his teeth, is Liddy looking to just keep it together and get that overtake done on Cepiso, who is hanging on to the 10th and final spot in this race. Final spot as far as points are concerned. Can Liddy get it done? It's lap 29 of 29. Seatley has begun his run towards another race victory here. And lap 29 of 29, Brown Boy is going for it. He's going to look to get that fastest lap done, and Liddy has the Piso in his sights here. That red light in the back of the Ferrari is flashing. Liddy, meanwhile, has managed to be saving his battery power, so it's a potentially sweet overtake here if Liddy can keep it together. Over here, absolutely interesting battle in prospect. Zotal, meanwhile, does not have Loveness to worry about. He's got the 10-lap-old medium tires, does Zotal, while the likes of Loveness is running 8-lap-old mediums. Now, Loveness has been catching up, but he might not have enough in the bag to get that final podium spot on the final lap here. Oh, my word. Oh, man, beautiful stuff. But, of course, the story of the day, once again, look at that, it's Seatley going purple through sector. The end of sector 2, he's gone quickest through that final sector. He's draining the last of his battery. Seatley is giving it a go. Despite being on 13-lap-old hard tires, it's a potential fastest lap for Seatley. But of course, we'll see what Brown Boy can do. He was quickest in qualifying. He was the quickest man in the race by far. He crosses the line to win the Bahrain Grand Prix by a factor of 36 seconds. It's an absolutely dominant performance by the champion to cross the line in P1. But what about Brown Boy? What can he do now as he looks to complete his lap 29 of 29? Yellow flag in sector 3. I wonder who might have spun. Tepiso had been lapped. But he crosses the line, P10. Liddy had been lapped as well. He did not have enough in the bag. It looked like Liddy might have spun and lost advantage on that battle with the Tepiso. Liddy falling out of the points, but this is Brown Boy who tried. He huffed and puffed, but it was not enough. But he crosses the line with the fastest lap. It's P2 for Brown Boy. Those soft tires coming into the good on the final lap. And look at that, Loveness caught all the way up to Zotal, who has been fighting to hang on to the final podium spot. He waits to the left and right. Zotal crosses the line. P3. It's a podium spot for the Alpine driver. Loveness fought so hard, but P4 for the Alfa Romeo driver. Ban Kobe brings it home in P5, but D-Wax, Ban Kobe on the final lap gets overtaken by D-Wax, who had a dramatic race of his own. M. Fundo also says, I'll take P6 from you, Ban Kobe. You're going to have to contend with P7, or worse, because Mandla is on the brink here. It's a absolutely dramatic, and Ban Kobe P7 for him. What about Mandla? Can he take advantage of Ban Kobe's penalty? The answer is no, P8 for the AlphaTauri driver, and we will have the likes of Another finishing P9, and Tepiso rounds off the drivers in the points. An absolutely sensational, beautiful, dramatic ending to the Bahrain Grand Prix here with last lap drama. Ban Kobe had such a beautiful race start, but a dramatic end to the race. I want to hear who your driver of the day is, but of course the first man joining me in the comment section from the comforts of P1. He leads the race, he leads qualifying, and he is, of course, the man, the gold standard of the top tier of Breakaway League Racing. Seatley, congratulations, take us through that, man.
It was chilled. It was quite chilled. I was able to manage everyone behind me nicely. First few laps, I was just getting used to these delays. Once I got used to them, I was just chilling the entire way. If I wanted to push, I could, but majority of the time I was chilling.
And Seatley, your race. Let's actually wanted to ask about. We've mentioned, of course, since the patches, the handling characteristics of these cars. How much of a struggle or not did you have at certain points as far as the handling was concerned, even though you were managing that gap between P1 and 2?
It was tricky initially.
Yeah.
Very tricky, but I just saw that there's areas where I could take it a bit more easier.
Yeah.
I noticed that everyone else was doing that and it gave a lot of time. I think I was too heavy on the throttle. I nearly lost it the first few opening laps, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Beautiful stuff, man. Watching you do your thing is sensational. Miss Barnum in the comments says, Seatley must play with a controller. Some people say, hey, Seatley is bored now.
The
man who finished in P2 with the fastest lap, he pitted, of course, to pretty much checkmate Seatley into potentially going into the pits himself. But he claimed the fastest lap. It's Ensika Brown Boy for Red Bull. Congratulations. Beautiful stuff. Take us through that, man.
Let's go. It was just a lonely race, really. Seatley just pulled away, and I was like, it's over, but my chances are. The gap was just opening. I'm like, it's fine.
Those two gentlemen, Tyson, those two gentlemen must be banned from Breakaway.
Seatley must be banned, brah.
Shut up, Bratox. I must say I'm proud of that. Probably one of my worst tracks. I don't like Bahrain.
Yeah.
Battles with DWAX, battles with Loveness. I think Loveness was faster than ours. I think that was obvious. But I think it was more race management than anything.
Yeah.
I was shook when he didn't try overcut me, and he pushed his hards more. Because I think he was in a good position. I think probably this position would be Loveness's position, but I think that was a wrong call from him. DWAX as well on the hard compound wasn't easy. I tried to break away from DRS, but he was pushing the hards, but I think he might have just pushed them too hard. So yeah, I'll take P3 any day against Brasilia and Brown Boy, any day.
Yeah. And we saw you fight Zotal with the DWAX, that beautiful fight. Of course, we saw DWAX hit the wall there, and then you managed to gain that advantage towards the end. Zotal, were you surprised at Loveness's strategy to go as long as he did?
No, 100%. I think Loveness, as I said, Loveness was quicker than I was. He was in a good position. A part of me thought he was going to go on softs, but softs at Bahrain are just a bad idea, whether it's 2 laps or 3 laps left. It's just a bad idea. So him going long on the hards was basically advantage myself and DWAX, and I think my focus was more on DWAX in the race. So yeah, that was that. Unfortunate for DWAX, but good points for him as well. Shout out, good battles there. But I'll take podium any day once again on tracks that I'm not a fan of, and Bahrain is pretty much one of them.
All right. It was beautiful to watch you do your thing. Brown Boy, I'll come to you for the final question. We've seen you give Seatley and some of the top runners a hard time. Next up is Zandvoort, the Netherlands. How comfortable are you around that track?
We shall see. Zandvoort as well. My least favorite track.
Yeah,
it's getting intense now, yo.
and it's difficult. There, Brown Boy, because you might say it's your track, and then you have
Seatley is a cheat code. Seatley is like Erling Haaland in whatever league he finds himself in. He just hits the ground running, and fantastic stuff from all three of you. Congratulations, Seatley, Brown Boy, and Zotail, who is being cheered on so enthusiastically in the comment section. Congratulations, gentlemen. We will see you in the Netherlands on Thursday. And congratulations. Let's catch up with the last of the comment section. Injected Zolonzo, a couple of comments, and Brown Boy's lap was 7/10 quicker than Seatley. Notes Crash, beautiful stuff there from Brown Boy, and of course Crash and Man Race speaking about the quality of the drivers who are on the racing wheels. And Guaco says this should have been me. A heartbreaking moment there that we were watching DWAX hitting the wall in that battle with Zotal. Absolutely entertaining race nonetheless. But thank you so much for tuning in to the top tier Breakaway League Racing. Tier 2 and 3 are in the Netherlands tomorrow. Catch Tier 2 at 7:30 from myself, Bob O'Connor.
Okay, good night, okay, sharp, guys.
Yes, thank you everybody. Good night.
Good night.